Battlefield game?
Mine's old school. I like Battlefield 1942, the original on PC. Like when it first came out. Because I played that game when it was first beta release.
Really?
With the company. Like no one knew that game before. And I was playing it all the time. I was testing new things for them. I was trying patches and different mods to it. And thinking,
have you played Battlefield back in 22?
Yeah, I played pretty much every version of Battlefield that they've come out with. But I think I'm still impressed with the first one. Just because I think it was fun. And I was, because since I was the first one, like, really testing it, I was really good at that game. I was scary good at that game. and I knew, like, every cheat and trick known to man on that game. Because I played it so many times before anyone else touched that game.
Okay.
So,
I think that
I'm still in the just switching over to
Go. You cheater.
out.
Yeah.
I'm still like in the just of Battlefield mode,
I'm more
and I'm playing Modern Warfare right now.
Remastered?
Yeah, and I'm like still in the just of Battlefield, so I'm like I gotta get used to playing this. And it's so easy, that game. I hate it. Like someone just boom, boom, 2 shots, and you're done with the little Uzi. I'm like, are you serious?
In remastered?
Yeah, I'm like, are you serious? I
That's
can
why
like
sniper-
snipe with the pistol.
Yeah, you can snipe with a pistol. It's crazy.
Like, that's so
Every
stupid.
time you hit him in the head, it's an easy shot. Like, dead. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. I'm dead.
Yeah, I turn around burst, get all 3 bullets, and he's done. Like, done. I got like 3 kills, and I'm sitting there, standing, I stood in one place, and killed him. And they hit me once.
Bet you can kill someone
With
with a rock.
the grenade, I walked away from that.
Guarantee you can kill someone with a rock. Just literally throw it at them and they're dead. So, that's how easy it is.
I swear.
Are we learning about
Or for the Spanish pistol.
No, that's probably
Yes! Are you ready for the science stuff today?
I took it.
alright.
I'm saying, what?
Is it easy?
I have science first
No,
period.
It's pretty easy, easier than that.
I have
Especially if you
science
said-
first period. Sorry, take it.
How?
These are like so stupid. Like we study over it, and then it's not over what we study. Like, I'm-
You guys get
I'm gonna push you
your,
around. I'm gonna push you
Alex, you're just
know that you-
did I beat you?
No, I'm not that
around.
bad.
How do you use your RPG just to kill a different friend?
And then you had to go.
Yeah. And you wouldn't let me finish the minute until like the right way you did it with your RPG. I was like, I have to go to finish it.
Even though I could kill was awesome, I love it you.
With an RPG.
No, the sniper.
Oh yeah.
Go home day. Like, I really hope we don't get any homework, so I can just go home.
Well, language, we have homework like every other day.
Yeah, that's the way that works.
Yeah, we have that
No, we don't get new
Like,
Cool.
president election.
Yeah, that's homework, yep.
We have homework almost every day, but some of it's easy and some of it's not.
Yeah. Have you had English?
I don't have to hate. I know we already have homework.
Get that, thank you, man.
I don't know why.
Which word are you going for?
I traditionally will not say. So, I don't want to influence anybody.
Can't wear a Trump.
It's important. I already voted this morning. I did it this morning at 7 a.m. So, I traditionally won't say.
Probably
It's my personal choice. I don't want to ever influence anybody on that. So, I'm a little worried if it goes one direction. So,
Oh, I already know what that you are.
I don't think we do. So,
You voted for Morgan Freeman. I didn't know.
You can't vote. I don't know what you're talking about.
I thought about this. It's really weird because when I voted, there was like 9 people that were up for president. Which I thought was weird. You only hear 2 like right, Trump and Clinton. There's like 9 different parties running. It was like when I looked at the ballot, there was like 9 different names on the list that could be running for president. Like, who are these people? Never even heard of them. So, and I was telling that funny because in one more year, I could technically be on that ballot, running for president. You have to be 35. So that was kind of funny.
You
What we're going to be talking about today is simplifying mixed numbers and improper. So it's kind of like what we did yesterday, but now we have a new topic today. So the good thing is, once we're through this today, I'll give you some time where you can work on that assignment that I gave you yesterday. Because when is that assignment due? Actually, I didn't even put it on the board.
That was due like last week, wasn't it?
No, the one that I gave you yesterday, page 64.
Oh, Wednesday.
Wednesday. So I'm going to give you some time today after lunch where you can kind of work on that and actually get some progress going on that. I think some people I think they were getting close to being done. I don't know if everyone did, so I want to give you at least a little bit of time today. But the good thing is the topic we're talking about today goes with that, which is kind of nice. So we'll start with mixed numbers today and kind of show you what a mixed number is one more time. Kind of what you had to do for it yesterday, and then I want to show you the differences today. So the goals on a mixed number is to show you, the process for converting. That's what you had to do yesterday. You had to convert to a different form. And then today we have to learn how to simplify it. What does it mean to be a simplified version of a mixed number? That type of thing. I'll show you two different strategies for that. Again, this is not the homework today, the simplifying version. All you had to do for the homework yesterday, that page 64, 66, I'll put it back on the board, I forgot to put it up there, is you just have to convert from one form to another form. So we'll kind of talk about that today. So, mixed number, somebody give me a mixed number, please.
2 2/4.
2 3/4. I like it. Okay, that'll work. All right, so what you had to do yesterday was convert this into the improper fraction. So again, you actually picked it right. This is a mixed number, right? It's got a big number, it's got a fraction after it, so a whole number and a rational number right after it. Okay, so the trick was yesterday, the little shortcut to convert this. You take the big number, so the big 2 here, so in fact I'm going to put it over here just one more time. You take the big 2 times the 4 on the bottom, that's 2 times 4, and you add the top. So I'm going to add the 2 up here, and that's all going to go over what is the bottom number in this case. 4, that'll go on the bottom. Okay. So when we do the math here, we get, this will be, 8 plus 2, all over 4. And when I add the top together, because that's the 2 times the 4, you get, 10 over 4? That's what you had to do yesterday. That was like your goal for the first couple of problems. Change it to an improper fraction. Bigger number on the top, smaller number on the bottom. You already knew what the bottom number was going to be. It was going to be a 4. It was kind of common sense. But knowing how to get the top number, multiply the bottom, add whatever the top number is. That's kind of the idea. Now, the good thing is, the problem you picked is actually perfect for what we needed today. How to simplify. So, how do we simplify a mixed number? So I'm going to go back to the original problem, the problem that you created. 2 2/4. To simplify this problem down, this number here, that number, the 2/4, can actually be simplified. That fraction is not what we call simplest form. 2 and 4 actually have numbers in common for the fractions back. So the trick that we did previously for how to simplify these, I'm going to leave the big 2 alone. This number really won't change the big number. But in the back, you break up numbers that so factors of 2. What are 2 numbers that multiply to give you the 2 up here? 2 times 1, right? What are numbers that multiply to give you 4? 2 times 2, right? This is like the old way that we did it. So you break up the numbers as fast as you can, and then you cross out numbers that they have in common. They had those 2 in common. One number for one number. Don't cross them all out, just 1 for 1. And so your final answer is the big 2, and what numbers were left?
1, 2.
That's your same answer. Getting 2 1/2 is the same as 2 2/4. Because if you think about this, like if I were drawing the pizzas idea, you have 2 full pizzas, and on the last pizza, if I'm doing the original problem, there was 4 pieces, and 2 of them were left. Right? 2 of them were left out of the 4. That's half the pizza. When you think about it, half, 1 out of the 2 pieces. So, okay. Questions, comments on how to simplify it? That was like the old school way of doing it, how to simplify fractions down. This is like the goal, what they want. Now, the weird part is, I could have a bunch of different starting points to simplify. It doesn't always have to start like that. They could be different numbers and whatnot, and it could be a little more tricky. that's what I want to discuss today. Okay, so does everyone understand like what we're going into? All right. But before I do that, before I go into the weird problems like this, let's go back over here and let's try an improper one. Let's try an improper fraction. We'll convert it, and we'll show you kind of what I mean by simplifying these. Okay. All right. So now we're going to start with an improper. Improper fraction. All right, so somebody come up with some random numbers for me, please.
89.
89, okay. There's a top number. Now make something that's smaller for the bottom.
25.
25. Okay, all right, I can deal with that. All right, so 89 and 25. All right, so do we agree it's improper? That number is bigger than the bottom. Now, what we're going to do here first, we're going to kind of review what we did yesterday. So again, we're starting with improper. Starting with an improper fraction. And what we're going to do first is we're going to learn how to convert it. Kind of like what your homework was yesterday. Okay? So we're going to convert this. Okay? That'll be kind of what your homework was. Then what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how do we simplify the problem. What would a problem look like? Okay? So we'll simplify. All right. So here we go. First step here. The easiest way that I told you yesterday was to figure out. Like what I would do is I would subtract 25 a bunch of times. That's how I did it. But it looks like a lot of you like to do division, correct? Is that how most of you did it?
Yeah.
One division? Okay. So I'll stick with that. I'll show you both in case you don't like it. So 89 goes in the house. The 25 goes in the outside. Now, think about this. 25 times 1 is 25. 25 times 2 is 50. 25 times 3 is 75. Really close. 25 times 4 is 100. So you can't pick 100. So 25 times 3, what is that? 75. Right? That's about as close to 89 as I can get. If I subtract, you just subtract straight down. That's what, a 4? That's a 1. That's your remainder, correct? That goes on the top of my fraction. And the 25 here, the number I was dividing by, goes on the bottom. So that is your answer. Your remainder over this. That's converting it back to a mixed number. That's if you're doing it by the long division. Now, if you're doing it by the little subtraction rule, because that's the rule that I always tend to go with. The 89, I subtract 25, and when I subtract 25 from that, I'll get 64. That's 89 minus 25, and then I'll take the 64 and subtract 25 off. That's 39. And again, you'd be using a calculator to do this. And then subtracting again, taking the 39 and trying to subtract 25. So 39 minus 25, which is the 14. And I can't go any further because if I try to subtract a number like 25, it'll be negatives, and I don't want negatives. So how many times did I successfully subtract 25? 3. That's the big number. And what was I left with? 14. And I was using 25 to subtract. So that's the idea. Okay. Questions on any of the stuff I've done so far? Okay, so that was what your homework was yesterday. You can bring it back to a mixed number. You can do it by any method you want. Maybe that person wants to draw. That's fine. You could have done that. Now, what we're going to do today is talk about how to simplify. How to simplify an improper. And I'll make up a new problem, because the problem you actually picked was pretty nice. You didn't need to worry about, in the very end, if we can simplify this answer now. What I mean by simplifying is if we start with an improper, say something like, let's go with 24 over 3, right? Actually, I better not do 3. That actually divides out perfectly. Let's pick like 10. Let's pick 10. I don't want something that divides out evenly. That's the problem we'll look at later. So 24 over 10. We're going to do the same thing. We'll convert it down. So we're going to convert it to to a mixed number. Then you're going to notice that we can simplify it a little bit. So I don't care if we want to do long division or if we want to do the little subtraction rule. I'll do long division because I want to convert this to a mixed number, right? So 24 goes in the house, 10 goes on the outside. How many times can 10 go into 24 without going upwards? 2. 2. That's 20, right? You subtract, you get 4, right? So my answer would be big 2, well, 4/10. And if you notice, the 4/10 can be simplified. So, because 4 and 10 have numbers in common. So the 2 will stay the same, but for 4, what are numbers that multiply to give me 4? 2 times 2. What are numbers that multiply to give me 10? 2 times 5. And then the 2's would cancel here, so your final answer is the big 2 and 2/5. Like that's your answer. That's the actual answer. That's the simplified version of it. Okay, do we understand how simplifying works? You notice it's the same process. I'm doing this what I call prime numbers, where you're multiplying, you're breaking up the 4 to all the numbers that multiply give you 4. You're breaking down the 10 to all the numbers that multiply give you 10. And then you're just crossing out ones that they have in common. And if it's prime, fine, you use 1 and then stuff that sort of thing. Okay, now, why I brought this up? The new problem today, the one problem I want to talk about is what happens when you start a problem. I'll come back over here. And we're going to be simplifying, mind you, we're simplifying. And the problem starts like this. This is how it starts. What's goofy about that problem?
10 and 3.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a mixed number, right? It's a big number and a fraction. The fraction is improper. They mixed them together. They mixed like the problems we were doing yesterday plus the other problem that we're doing. They're mixed numbers and improper. So this is what they ask you to simplify. Okay, to simplify this version now, what I would do first, I would personally do first, is I would definitely change this back to a mixed number. I'd do that first. I think that's quick. Okay, I'm going to leave the 5 alone. I don't really care about it. But how do I change this back to a mixed number? So think about like what was the process we did over there? Divide. So you take 10, 10 goes in the house, 3 goes on the outside, right? So how many times can 3 go into 10 without going over? 3 times, that's 9. Okay, subtract to get the number 1, right? And that's the number that goes back there. So this is 3, the big 3, and 1/3. Right? The 1 is the remainder, and this is what we divided by. So it goes in the bottom. So really, what we're looking at here, like my actual problem, is this, which is kind of goofy. It's a big 5, and behind it, we have a 3 and a 1/3. That's the part that's behind it. So what do you think my final answer is?
8 1/3.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's the final answer. Right? You actually add the 2 big numbers together. So your final answer on this problem is 8 1/3. Because you can actually add these 2 numbers together, the big numbers. They're whole numbers. You're allowed to add them. That's how you simplify when you have this weird thing where they give you a mixed number plus an improper behind it. You change the improper to what you were doing for the homework, and then you can actually add them together. Now, this can go further. Maybe this fraction here can go further. We do the same rules I did over there. We try to break them up and try to simplify. But the goal in the beginning is to make this definitely a mixed number, and then from there, if I need to simplify the fractions, I can use those rules over there. Okay, questions, comments on that problem? Okay, last problem of the day. Last problem. Here we go. Last problem, then after lunch, actually probably a little bit before lunch, you can kind of work on homework if you have it. Okay. Here's the last problem. Actually, I'm going to put it on the board. Okay. You agree it's an improper fraction. That number, that bottom. Let's convert this back. So we take 12 goes in the house, the 6 goes in the outside. How many times can 6 go into 12? 2. And so 6 times 2 is 12. You subtract, you get a 0. Okay, and most of the time you go, the big 2, the 0 is the remainder, and you put 6 on the bottom, right? We don't need this. We don't need that.
No, it's just 2.
It's just the answer is 2. Just think about it out loud. What is 12 divided by 6? So this is how it's actually proving that your mixed number is actually just a whole number. That your remainder was 0. You don't even need this. The reason why you don't need that fraction in the back is 0 divided by 6 is always 0, and 0 plus 2 is still 2. That's why your answer is just 2. So that was something that I almost wrote on the board earlier. I caught myself right before I wrote it. I didn't want you to see those yet. That's the part of the stuff we're doing here. It's this idea of simplifying. That you're trying to convert it back to a mixed number, but then there's these weird situations that happen where maybe the numbers have something in common, or maybe there's just no number there because it actually worked out nice and pretty. So that's just a whole number. There's no fraction behind it. Okay. Homework today, that was the stuff that you had yesterday. I'm just going to put that assignment back on the board. If you have already finished it, that's fine. You can turn it in. Maybe you haven't got there yet and you're still working on it. That's fine. It's page 64. This is the one I gave you yesterday. 1 through 9, exercise B. You remember those are at the bottom. And then page 66, 1 through 9, exercise B again. And again, these are at the bottom. That's why they call them exercise B. I think one. So we got from Jason, Nicole, Liz. There's almost everybody. So there you go. If you haven't finished that math problem, please finish that up. But this is the one topic I'm going to talk about today. Yeah, the rest of the time is yours. You can kind of work, so make sure you have something to work on after lunch. Because I don't want to go too in depth. Tomorrow we're going to take a few more notes. Thursday I'm gone. You'll have kind of a work day on Thursday. So tomorrow will be a note day. We'll go through some more stuff tomorrow. We'll probably review this stuff, how to simplify tomorrow. Then we're going to have a new topic. There's going to be 2 things we're going to have. So that's it. John, I don't think I've ever seen my page 64, so you should have that out. Should be your top priority.
Oh, one of those pens. B or so. Not the same.
Jesus, I thought it was me for a thing.
I will unfortunately not be able to make that. All right, let's go to lunch. If there's any other day or time, yeah, that'd have been fine. Basketball practice.
And I'm not as conservative as I am most happy, but if I can just get maybe some input or anything.
Yeah. I'll give you some stuff that you can save during the meeting, or if you need like me to record.
Hold that word.
Oh yeah, I would have to agree with Cole right there. Classic zombies.
Dude, like, if you have it on PC, you see like a lot of models or something.
Oh yeah.
I just have to
Fun.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you got anyone like this?
That's like fun.
You know, I Cole. You got to throw something. Alright, that's it. There I got it. Yeah,
Forever.
All right, somebody just turn in this time.
Yes.
Oh, and that's
Oh, that's
my
fine.
bad.
That's what I use.
My bad.
Make sure you have something to work on to be productive. Tomorrow we'll finish up notes on this stuff and the next part that I want to add to it. And then Thursday I'll kind of have a work day in here where I'm going to give you an assignment on Thursday this week. So.
But